All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. Today, I have a special guest with me. Joining me today is Miss Karla Jones Wilson. She is a serial entrepreneur, the founder of 3 different businesses, and newly relocated to the Tampa Bay area. And I wanted to kind of just give you an opportunity to share, who you are, how you got into business, and a little bit about yourself, Miss Jones Wilson. So first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Filthy.
Oh, thank you, Andre. I appreciate you for having me. You always do such a great job, and I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. So how did you get into business? Could you mind sharing a little bit about your background and how you actually got into business and how you got into the real estate industry amongst the other industries that you're in?
Yeah, what's funny about that is growing up, my family had very entrepreneurial backgrounds. My father, he owned a couple businesses, a cleaning business as well as a photography business. My grandfather, he was a milkman in our neighborhood. He also owned a dry cleaners. And then I have several cousins and uncles who are musicians. So they've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And what's funny is that passed to me. So growing
That's
up,
what's up.
growing up, I ended up going to Purdue University. I was an engineering student because I was really good in math
Hmm.
and also good in science. And as I worked as an engineer for about 7 years, I knew that I could not be an employee. I knew it was not for me. I was not happy about it. We moved around in order to move up, but I felt like I hit a ceiling, and I knew I wasn't passionate about it.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that I was taught is if you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Right.
So I decided to go to law school to, get my law degree because I knew as an attorney, my basically my field could be very flexible.
Right.
So after graduating from law school, I stayed 1 extra year and got my master's of law and tax, and that's what the LL.M stands for. And during that time, when I was doing my master's program, I got hired by a law firm, and
Hmm.
the law firm actually represented real estate developers.
That's what's
So
up.
the cool thing about that is I had a chance to kind of look into the real estate world behind the scenes from a
Hmm.
legal perspective to see
Hmm.
all the things that was going on within the industry. And I saw that, it was an easy industry. You just
Right.
needed to really understand it.
Right.
And some of the other things I did was also help real estate developers find money like taxes and tax exemption programs, grant programs, tax increment financing programs to help fund their deals.
Hmm.
So after doing that for a couple years, I ended up going in-house with a real estate development firm, and I was their general counsel, meaning that I was their attorney that helped them buy, sell, and finance and negotiate their real estate deals. And
Mm.
we bought and sold multifamily homes throughout the Midwest. And at the time, I was located in Kansas City. And throughout that time, I was able to do millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate.
Wow.
And this was pre 2007 before the
Yeah.
basically the
Right.
downturn market went on. So during that
Right.
time, my husband and I, we actually started investing in real estate as well. So our goal was to go in to fix and to flip, but we ended up going in, we fixed the properties and we ended up renting them out. So
Got you.
even though we didn't flip them, we were still able to make residual income, from the tenants that we had in there. So that's what
Right.
really sparked my interest in
Okay.
real estate. But then we decided to move from Kansas City to Florida. And during that time, I decided to get my real estate license because my goal was to be able to, buy and sell my own real estate
Right.
deals in another state. And so as soon as we got to Florida, I noticed that there were so many, and this was in 2017. I noticed that
Mhm.
there were so many people moving to the area that needed help, either relocating, investing, or just finding properties in general. So
Okay.
instead of me doing, a lot of investments, I ended up helping people buy and sell real estate.
Gotcha.
And that's really how I got started into the entrepreneurial part of it. When I became a realtor, that allowed me to basically have my own business. Um, and during that time, I saw that there were so many real estate agents after they got their license, they were struggling to move forward in their
Mm.
business. And so
Wow.
I created a real estate coaching business.
Mm.
So I help real estate agents also coach. I coach them to make sure that they're able to, do their business and run their business, lead
Right.
generate, market, and just really understand the concepts of supporting your client and what that means.
That's
And
what's up.
then in addition to keeping the agents going, I've created a real estate transaction business where
Wow.
I'm able to work with my team and any real estate agent that has deals. A
Hmm.
lot of times they get bogged down in the paperwork and they really don't like doing the paperwork. So
Right.
our company comes in, we help them ensure that the paperwork is done correctly. We help coordinate, once they're under contract, making sure that they're able to, all the paperwork gets to the right title company. If the
Mm.
home inspector needs to come in, we'll help coordinate that as well too. So I
Wow.
basically have taken all of my real estate and put it into one. And the great thing about it is because I do nothing but real estate, I brand myself. I'm Karla, the real estate lady. So, so if
That's
you
what's
think
up.
of Karla, think of Karla, the real estate lady.
That's what's up. That's powerful. There's a lot to unpack in that answer. One of the things that really impressed me the most, well, a lot of it did, but one that stuck out to me the most was that there's a there's a brother that I study. Have you ever heard of Mr. Reginald Lewis?
I think that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's a brother I had on a few shows ago who he teaches business acquisition, but
Mm-hmm.
his business Bible is Mr. Lewis's book. It's called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And
Mm-hmm.
your story, he was actually the first black billionaire in America in I want to say 1987 when he acquired a major billion-dollar company, a corporation. But his story sounds similar to yours. I was wrapping up finishing that book, but he started out as an attorney. He went to Harvard to become a law attorney, and
Mm-hmm.
how he got into business acquisition was because he was leading the firm that would have to be in the middle of the acquisition, similar to like what you were saying, what you were doing with the construction companies. And so it's like your stories are kind of parallel, and I think that's awesome to find like someone who's doing the same thing. So my first question is, in terms of the law aspect of it, was that what inspired you to get into the investing part, or were you already, on the path of investing before you got into the legal aspects of it with the developers?
Actually, the law part of it, me being an attorney really did inspire me to go ahead and start investing because I saw how easy it was.
Right.
It was a way for me to actually train and learn the business,
Hmm.
because as an attorney, I'm helping negotiate contracts. I'm actually literally writing the contracts.
Gotcha.
I know what to do in terms of the financing of it. I help negotiate the terms of those financing agreements.
Hmm.
I had access to investors and, people who wanted to support investors.
Hmm.
So, private lending, that type of thing. So I was able to marry the legal side with the money side and then put it
Wow,
together. Yeah. The
that's
only
what's
piece
up.
I was missing was on the realtor side, you actually have access to the MLS to actually get the information to know when the property was actually going for sale. So,
Wow.
but the legal side was able, help me feel comfortable saying that, oh, I can do this, you
Right.
know. And the other good thing is, in terms of the investment property, so, a lot of investors, they buy and hold and they rent them out.
Right.
So because of the legal side, I did tons of evictions. So
Mm.
meaning that if I needed to take a tenant to court, it wasn't a big deal. I know how to do it. I know how to do all the
Right.
paperwork. I know what to
Right.
say in order to win. I know what documents the judge is going to ask. So again, that made me confident that, if I bought my own investment properties, I knew all the things that I needed to do to get them out if it went left.
That's what's up. So I got a lot
Mhm.
of questions for you because, like I said, the whole purpose of this podcast is to really just to share insight and information to help people get on their way in terms of business, investing, entrepreneurship, etc. So for those who want to get into real estate investing, but don't necessarily have a lot of funding or a lot of capital. What you have in the relationships that you have, what are some of the prerequisites that a brand new investor would need to have or bring to the table in order to be someone who would be fundable with a firm that that you have access to in terms of the lenders that you have relationships with? What would be some of the things that you would have to have as a requirement to get started to be someone who will qualify for funding?
I would say the number one thing is to have skin in the game, meaning that you need to have some capital or some cash yourself in the
Mhm.
bank. And
Okay.
typically, in order to fund an investment deal, they want you to have 20 to 30% of the cost of that property in the bank because you're going to use that to put
Right.
down to buy the home. And most lenders that, invest or loans for investors, they basically will only give you about 70%, sometimes 80%. It really depends on your experience. If you're
Mhm.
brand new to it, expect that you're going to have to bring 30% of the cost of that property to the table. And if you
Gotcha.
don't have that, it's going to be really difficult for an investor or an investment bank to take you serious.
Gotcha. So, for
Yeah.
example, if you were looking to buy a property that's about 200,000, and you were going to buy it to either fix and flip or buy it to rent it out, you would have to have about approximately how much in the bank in order to get the
So
money
it's
to
it's it's 30% of the 200. Let's go back to 100,000. Say the property,
100,000. Yeah,
because that'll
so
be the easiest.
30,000.
Yeah, if it's a
Okay,
$100,000 property, you'll need to bring at least $30,000 to put down. That does not include closing costs, because closing costs will run you probably about 1%, so another $3,000, and maybe
gotcha.
5,000, depending on the amount of taxes.
Okay,
But yeah, you'll need to have at least 30,000 at a minimum to put as a down payment, and then the bank will fund or finance the rest of the money,
okay.
plus any closing costs. So
Now, is that process the same as when you're actually purchasing a home? So I remember when I bought my first home, I think in '07, I thought, like, I didn't know there was that many questions out there for them to ask. Like, they were asking me for things I've never heard of before. So is it like
right
similar to that when you're coming in as an investor,
now,
or is it just
it's
about you just gotta have the money and that's what it is?
yeah, it's completely different because when you're buying your primary home,
Mhm.
the bank is assuming you're going to make that a primary home. You're going to keep that for the long haul, right?
Yeah.
Their goal is to
Mhm.
protect that loan and to make sure that you as a homeowner can afford it. So they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. They're going to look at your credit score. They're going to look at, do you still have a job? How long will that job last? That type of thing.
Gotcha.
They want to look
Mhm.
at your tax returns, your W-2s, your pay stubs. Um, they also, with them, their main thing is giving you money for the long haul. And
Gotcha.
with a home buyer, there's so many programs that are out there in terms of how much you need to put down.
Mhm.
So some of the first time home buyers programs, depending on what it is and what you qualify for, you may get 100% financing. Like for example, the USDA government has 100% financing loans for, first time home buyers, depending on
Mhm.
the area of town that you live. It's more in the rural communities, so that's a program. FHA, they have some programs where you only have to put 5% down, so that's a even smaller amount that you have to put down. Conventional lenders, typically you need to put between 10 to 20% down.
Mhm.
And then if you're with the VA, usually they don't have to put anything down for
Right. They
VA
get
loans. So there's a
gotcha.
lot of different type of loans that are specifically made for um primary home buyers. But on the investor side, because they know it's an investment property, more than likely you're not going to hold on to that property long,
Right.
or if the lender knows that it's going to be income producing, they know that the income from that property is really going to support that mortgage payment.
Right.
So they may not be looking at your credit as hard, especially if you
Gotcha.
have experience as an investor. They're not going to
Mhm.
really look at your credit that much. All they care about is the property. Is the property able to bring in the cash flow in order to support this loan? Does the investor have money to put down in order to make this loan smaller?
Right.
That's what
Mhm.
they're really looking at.
Okay.
But for the first time, they may look at your credit score, they may look at your debt to income, but the
Mhm.
number one thing they're going to look at is the property to see if it can actually support the income if you're doing it as
Mhm.
an investment. If you're
Mhm.
doing it as a flip, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
Usually you could, for a flip, if you just need to rehab and flip, the main thing is how much does it cost to rehab?
Right.
Um, and then what your budget is, and then what is the after repair value going to be? So if you buy the property for $100,000 and you
Hmm.
put a little bit, maybe you put $50,000 in there, the property can either be worth anywhere from 150 to maybe 250 or 300, depending on the comps, the comparable homes that are sold
Right.
in the neighborhood. If you feel
Gotcha.
like this $100,000 home will be worth later on $300,000, that may
Hmm.
be something that the bank says that's a great investment. We'll go ahead and give you a short-term loan for that.
Hmm.
You need $50,000 to improve it. We'll give you the $50,000, and then that means they can get their money back really
Right.
quick if they feel
Right.
like that once you fix it up, it'll be worth it. So,
That's what's up.
yeah.
So now with because I don't even know where to go. I got so many questions. So with the right, right. But I love it because I'm learning a lot, and I think so many other people can benefit from the information. So now let's go back to a new investor.
Mhm.
And then so if you want to, now when you say the lending for a fix and flip, is that considered to be hard money lending, or are these just lenders who lend on the commercial side in terms of real estate development and real estate investing?
So typically a fix and flip, you'll want to use a hard money lender. Typically their interest rates are going to be higher, but keep in mind that's for short-term debt,
Right,
and those are people who want to make money really, really, really quick. So
right.
and again, they're private lenders. Sometimes they're people like you and I that we've
Mhm.
got this amount of cash that's just sitting in our bank and we want to make, investments and make money really quick. And usually
Right.
the fix and flip, your goal is to get in there anywhere between 30 to 90 days. You
Gotcha.
acquire the property real quick, you rehab it really quick, and then you sell it really quick.
Gotcha.
And again, the goal is to make quick money.
Gotcha.
So, and again, they're going to charge higher interest rates, but it's worth it, especially if you're just going to, hold the loan for a short period of time.
I
But
got you.
if you're doing rental property, typically the interest rate is going to be a little bit lower,
Mhm.
not as low as it would be for a primary lender, for a
Right.
primary home.
Right.
Um, but the goal with them is just making sure that the income and the rental in the market, can support the mortgage.
I got you. Now, let me ask you this. In terms of, because I've been looking into getting into some investment properties, but our area is saturated. The market is crazy where we're at. But there's other markets that I've been looking to tap into. For example, Memphis. So when I'm dealing with lenders that you have relationships with, if I wanted to invest in properties in another state, does that matter? Is that any type of something that they're willing to do or they're not willing to do because it's a business or should say a property in a different state? Or how does all of that work?
Depending on the lender, some lenders only loan in some states, but some lenders loan nationally. So it really
Gotcha.
just depends, on the individual lender,
Okay.
and the goal is when you're in a position like me as a real estate agent, I have access to lenders all over the country. It's not
Mhm.
just local, because my
Okay.
investors come from all over the country. So for
Gotcha.
me, it doesn't matter where you're located or
Right.
where the property is located, you know,
Gotcha.
I have access to resources all over the country and actually even outside the country. I have
Wow.
access to to people all over really.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Mhm.
So with you and the services that you provide, what is I should say, what is your favorite one? Because you do a lot. So like which one do you like the most and why?
So I would say all of it to me goes together because my number one goal is to help people build wealth with real estate. So let me back up and kind of unpack that, meaning that each individual has their own way of building wealth with real estate. It could be
Mhm.
one that it may be your primary home and that you're building equity with that home, that's building
Mhm.
wealth. You may be an investor, and you want to have either fix and flip or rental income coming in. That's another way. Or
Okay.
you're a real estate agent or someone who wants to be a real estate agent and you need help building your business. So
Gotcha.
to me, all of them go hand in hand. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have a favorite.
Okay.
I just like that they all go together because, depending on the person and the individual, my number one goal, which I do have fun, is helping people build wealth with real estate. That
That's
is
what's
my
up.
number one goal. And that's what I have the most fun with, helping them build wealth with real estate, no matter what avenue that they want to go down or what
That's
route.
That's what's up, and that's the
Yeah.
title of this show, Building Wealth for Real Estate. So I've been doing a lot of studying and researching. Like I said, I love just having the opportunity to interview people like yourself because I've learned so much just in the 9, 10 shows that I've done so far. And one of the previous guests introduced me to mortgage note investing as well as mobile home investing, which is something that I wasn't very familiar with. And it's something that I'm very interested in and really digging deep into both because the entry level is a lot lower in terms, especially like with the mobile homes, than it is with traditional homes. So do you have any experience with helping assist investors in the mobile home industry or with the mortgage note industry?
So let's talk about the mobile home industry first. So
Okay.
depending on the type of mobile home, um, I can help investors buy mobile homes, but it's typically if the mobile home, when you buy it, comes with a lot as well, meaning that you own the lot. Now, some
Commercial.
mobile homes only you're renting the lot. I don't
Hmm.
help with those, so I don't have experience with that, but I do have experience with the ones that actually own the lot too. And
Got you.
those are more there's a bigger advantage because, you know, you as the owner of that building or the structure and the lot,
Hmm.
you can do pretty much anything you want with that lot. You know, if you
Hmm.
want to add on to it, if you want to fix it up, you know, you don't have to worry about paying a rent, you know. And the great thing with that when you own the lot, you still have some advantages in terms of, you know, because you'll pay real estate taxes, right? So that's an
Right.
expense that you can actually write off from your business income that comes in, you know.
Wow.
So those are a little more advantageous. But if you actually want to invest in the mobile industry, I would
Hmm.
say own the whole mobile park where that has rentals, where they rent the lot, because
Hmm.
that using that type of investment strategy, you don't have to worry about maintaining a building because you're just renting the land to the mobile homeowner.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
and it's less risk for you, because all
Right.
you're doing is renting the lot. That's it.
Right. Wow. Yeah,
Mhm,
that's impressive. I've been actually looking into lots as well. There's a few of them for
mhm.
sale around this area. That's up for sale. Now with that, because that's a totally different arena in terms of investing. So with the experience that you've had, I'm sure you've probably done that. Have you ever had experience with the acquisition or with the buy or sale of a mobile home park?
No, I have not. Nope,
Okay,
I have not
gotcha.
done that.
But I
However,
was
there's some really good training programs, that actually talk about that,
okay.
that would highly recommend. Peter Harris, if you look him up on YouTube.
Peter Harris.
He
Okay,
Peter Harris, yep, he's got a really good YouTube channel,
okay.
and he'll talk about investing, mobile home parks
That's what
investing. Yeah.
that's what's up. Write that note down. Okay, and then with the mortgage notes, have you worked with people who buy or sell or buy and sell
Yeah, I have a
mortgage notes?
couple investors that I know that buy the, buy and sell notes. I
Okay,
don't personally do it. I've not had experience with it, but I do
gotcha.
know people that actually do that.
Now, is that something that you can get lending for as well from a lender to buy mortgage notes? Or is that
Well,
something
you
you have to
know,
have the capital
that's a
already?
great question. That's a great question. I honestly could not tell you the answer to that, only
Okay,
because that is not my experience since I
I got
don't
you.
really have experience with it. But
I
that
got
would
you.
be a great question to ask, you know, people that are in that space.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So with your space, with the like the fix and flips, like what would you say would be the best route in terms of this market and the area that we're in now, the climate of the market that we're in? Let's focus on this Central Florida area because this is a crazy
Mhm.
market. What would you advise an investor who came to you and told you that they had two or $300,000 to invest in the real estate industry? What would be your advice, and how would you advise them to maximize the returns on that
I would say, honestly, just choose your areas wisely because there's some areas and communities within the Central Florida and Southwest Florida area that are actually starting to kind of turn over, meaning that more investors are starting to buy property there, fix them up, and help change the economy there. Like, for example, Lakeland. Lakeland would
Mhm.
be a great area to invest. There's
Gotcha.
a lot of homes out there that investors are starting to buy up. And then I'm also assisting buyers out there or investors. The price point is very reasonable.
Okay.
You can take some of those homes that are in need of rehab and repair and
Hmm.
fix them and either rent them out or flip them, depending on what you want to do.
Okay.
Um, the Tampa market, there are still some that you can, buy that are considered distressed, meaning
Hmm.
that if you have maybe a person that owned the home, maybe have passed away and it goes into
Hmm.
probate and the family
Hmm.
does not want to continue maintaining that home, they just want to get rid of it. Typically,
Hmm.
they'll sell it really quick for a lower amount.
Okay.
That's another option. Or if you have a divorce situation, people have a home that they own and in order to they maybe the court orders them to split the proceeds from the sale of the home, and then
Uh-huh.
that way you can sell the home and then buy it. Typically they want to get out of it really quick. They may take
Okay.
a deal to let it go. Or if you have, people that are in fear of foreclosure, those are
Hmm.
still out there all over the country. It really doesn't matter whether it's Florida or not, but those
Gotcha.
will always be available. So you
Gotcha.
still can buy reasonably priced homes that are under market,
Hmm.
for a reasonable amount. They still come up. The main thing is just having the right realtor like myself to help you find the right
Right.
property that could be a good investment potential. Because typically when an investor is looking for a property, they're not looking to say, "Oh, I love living here." No. Their
Right.
goal is buying an area where they can actually make the most money for a resale.
Right.
So it's all about the numbers for investors.
Gotcha.
Period.
And
All about the numbers.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, and that was going to be my next question is how would an investor find the property? So is there any do you have any advice on ways that people can find properties on their own, or would it be advisable just to make sure that they consult with a professional realtor so that they can get access to the MLS and the majority of the properties that are out there?
So you can definitely do the searches on your own and or use a realtor. So if you did the searches on your own, my suggestion would be to go to the court records
Okay.
and find the cases where you have, foreclosures or pre-foreclosures or divorce, because they're going to announce it in the court records. Or if you see that someone has passed away and they
Hmm.
own property, it takes a lot of elbow grease, a lot of research. It's
Gotcha.
going to take you a lot of hours and time to do it, but you can do it on your own. You would
Gotcha.
look in the newspapers, look in the probate section, look in the foreclosure section in your newspaper. There's some legal publications that you can take a look at to kind of scour through them,
Okay.
or go down to the courthouse, and basically see what's on the docket for, foreclosures, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know we spoke off air about the use and utilization of VAs for those who are not familiar with the term virtual assistants that you can find all over the world for that matter. But would that be something that would be advisable to delegate to a VA, or do you know if there's any VAs who may be
I'm
in that?
sure you could. Yeah, I mean, with the VA, depending if they're doing admin for you, you probably could pay them to do that. The
Gotcha.
main thing, you just need to make sure that you're training them,
Right.
and that you have standard procedures that they have to follow in order to do the research.
Gotcha.
Um, you know, if you're giving them some tools, because really the main thing is just looking at it as a lead.
Right.
Maybe they can make phone calls for you once you found the property, because
Right.
for the most part, say for example, it's a probate property,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to do a lot of digging and research because you may
Right.
find the estate of someone, but you may not know who the contact or next of kin is. But you may
Gotcha.
have to physically go to the courthouse, or you may have to go to the online court records to find out who the contacts or the next of kin are, and again, it takes some work,
Okay.
but the flip side is if you're working with a real estate agent who knows the MLS, maybe they can get you access, a lot easier too. So, it really depends on what's going to be efficient in terms
Gotcha.
of your time.
Okay, that's what's
Yeah.
up. So now, another question, because I have, let me see, I've a few family members who just started a business and they're in their beginning phases and journey into the real estate industry. And I was telling him last night I was going to interview you that he definitely want to check
Mhm.
this show out. So he's in California. How would you advise him to get his business going? Like, because he started the business, he has it formed, structured LLC, etc. But what would be some advice for a brand new investor or brand new realtor investor to get started with their business in terms of buying and investing in properties? Like, what would be the best or the beginning route for him to get started?
As an investor, what I would say is definitely get your team together.
Okay.
Um, Really, as an investor, you want to make sure, one, if he is not a realtor, definitely have your realtor on your team if they're
Okay.
not a realtor. Also making sure that you have, a title company or a closing attorney that you work with as part of your team, because no
Okay.
matter what property you buy, you want to make sure that you're able to get title insurance on it. You want to
Gotcha.
get a great home inspector, so someone that can go out, inspect the property really quick for you to let you know all the things that are wrong with the property, because you
Mhm.
may decide, oh, that property has too many structural issues, I don't want to buy it. Like, it's
Right.
going to cost me too much money to do that. You definitely want to have some great contractors, whether
Okay.
they're a general contractor or whether they're a subcontractor, like a painter or a plumber, or a carpenter. Those are the main, an electrician and an
Okay.
HVAC person that can do all
Gotcha.
your air conditioning. Because those people are extremely important and can make or break your deal. Because if you don't have good relationships with those people,
Mhm.
because they're going to have to give you a quote if you're doing a fix and flip. You'll
Mhm.
need them to be able to come in really quick and give you an assessment of that property of cost before you even buy the property. Because if
Gotcha.
you buy this property, and you don't know that it's going to cost you way more to fix it, and that you're gonna lose money in order if you
Right.
try to flip it, then
Right.
it was a waste of your time and your money. But if your
Gotcha.
team can go in with you all up front when you're doing your walkthrough to make those decisions early and quickly, it can help save you from a bad deal.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Dang, we're running close on time. We have to do this
Okay.
again because I still got a bunch of different questions. But
Okay.
one of the ones that I'll get to quick because I want to make sure that we have time to display your services and how people can find you. But one of the questions I was going to ask as well is, what are the most important things for a new investor or for an investor in general to look into before wanting to make an offer or going ahead to start the process of acquiring an investment property? What are the most important things that we should look for? What are the key things we
I
should look
would
for?
say you need to go in first with your budget. Like, if you know how much money you're willing to spend or put down,
Mhm.
that's the first thing. If you know you only have $30,000 to put down, that means your home buying is limited to $100,000, right?
Right.
Because remember, we said more than likely you're going to have to put 30% down. So
Right.
that's the
Mhm.
first thing. The second thing is talking to your private lender to make sure that you're going to actually be able to be accepted. Like,
Got-
if you find a property and you don't know whether or not you qualify for that loan, then you've wasted your time.
Right.
And then the
Gotcha.
second thing is, again, having that team that I was saying, outside of lending, because that
Mhm.
team is going to help you, make sure that you know what your numbers are. Because again, if
Gotcha.
you know for certain that you, want to buy this $100,000 home, you want to make sure the after repair value is, maybe $250,000. So
Okay.
when you put the $50,000 in there to rehab it, you're going to get money back out. So
Gotcha.
the other important person is the realtor, because no matter what, if especially if you're going to fix and flip, because the realtor should be able to give you an after repair value for homes in that area. So
Mhm.
once the home is fixed, they can actually sell it quickly for you. Because if you've
Got
got a good realtor on your team, they should be able to tell you, people are looking for homes that are 3 bedroom, 2 baths in this area. They're willing to
mhm.
pay, if it's fixed up, this amount of dollars, you know.
Gotcha.
So you want, because all those go hand in hand.
Gotcha. Okay. Another question I have, because I've heard this, it's debatable, I guess, depending on you and your vision on how you want to go ahead and enter the market in terms of real estate investing. But for you personally, your personal opinion, is it a pro or a con to have or not have your real estate license if you're an investor?
I think having your real estate license gives you more power, because
Gotcha.
you're able to have access to more resources of information.
Gotcha.
As an investor, the goal is to be efficient. And if you can quickly, find the comps in your area, that would be great. You
Hmm.
know, if but depending on your time, if you don't have time to do the research, then you can source that out to the realtor,
Right.
that's on your team. So it really
Right.
honestly depends on where you are, in terms of time.
Hmm.
But as a realtor, you can actually source that out to another realtor who may be on your team, like a junior level realtor that's
Mhm.
under you,
Okay.
or you can go in another deal with another realtor. Like maybe you guys are kind of sharing the responsibilities and that you're
Okay.
working together as a team. So I mean, there's a lot of different options. It really just depends on what you want to do. And if you're looking at 50 deals, you may not have enough time to do it on your own. You
Right.
may have to outsource that anyway. But if you're
Gotcha.
only doing 1 or 2 deals a year, maybe it is worth you getting your license. Maybe. It just
Yeah.
depends. Because as a realtor, we do have expenses that we have to pay.
That
So
that
it
was the
is
question.
a money and dollars, because it's
Right.
not cheap being a real estate agent. I'm going to tell
Right.
everybody there is not cheap being a real estate agent. We have a lot of
Right.
expenses that we pay for. So,
Right. And that's the reason I asked the question. Because
mhm.
the last guest that I interviewed, she got her license specifically just to get access to the MLS so she can make money in the mortgage note industry. So
Mhm.
why I asked the question. So in terms of the maintenance or the cost of being a realtor on an annual basis, could you give like an estimate of what that'll run a person who, is coming in brand new as a new realtor?
I would say you're going to spend about, maybe, if you're a good realtor, you're going to spend about $10,000 a minimum a year, $10,000 to $12,000 a minimum. And
And what
that's
would
on
that
your
cover?
marketing, that's on your realtor fees, that's on, if you are a good realtor, you're
Mhm.
gonna, buy gifts for your clients, you're gonna throw parties, you're gonna do
Right.
education seminars,
Got you.
but if you got great relationships, that number could come down. It really just depends. It depends
Got
on
you.
how you run your business.
Gotcha. And the business of real estate or any other business is always the people business, man. So it's
That is
definitely
correct.
go back to relationships for sure.
That's
That's what's
correct.
up. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time, Mrs. Jones Wilson, to have this excellent conversation with me. So because of time, we're wrapping up. But can you kind of just share how the people watching this podcast can get a hold of you, how they can solicit your services, and what they can do to get in contact with you, and where can they find any more information in terms of getting
Yeah.
and
Yes. So I
license.
am on most social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Those are like my 3 top that I do. So on LinkedIn, just look up Karla Jones Wilson.
Okay.
So Karla with a K, Jones Wilson. On Facebook, again, look up Karla Jones Wilson, um, or Real Estate Lady. On Instagram, I'm at Karla the Real Estate Lady, at Karla the Real Estate Lady, or again Karla Jones Wilson. Um, if you type in my name in Google, I will pop up Karla Jones Wilson. You will
Gotcha.
see me. So again, Google is probably the best place to start, because then that way you can find me, get information about me, and then click on any of those articles, and then it'll take you to my pages. That's probably the best way.
Okay. And for those watching, you can just click on the notes section of this or the description section of this podcast as well. It'll be listed in there for those who are watching on YouTube, and for those who are listening on the podcast platforms, you can find it exactly how she just explained to us. But real quick, I got to throw this plug out there because I'm going to have Mr. Wilson on in the very near future. So can you kind of just for the sake of kind of preparing people for his interview, can you kind of just share a little bit about what you guys do together in terms of wealth
Yes.
protection with your other business that you guys have?
Yeah, so I told you guys I'm very entrepreneurial. So my husband and I, we have our own business. It's called BK Financial Solutions. And our goal is, my goal is to help you build wealth. And then the
Right.
goal of BK Financial Solutions is to really take that wealth that you've built and to help you protect it.
Mm.
He uses a great analogy about, football. Typically, a lot of people are working on the office to build the money, and then we're working on the defense to help protect that money so you don't lose it. Our
Right.
goal is to help you have assets in the future, for retirement purposes, and to also pass down to your future generations.
Mm.
And that's what we do. We do wealth protection. So Bradley, my husband, will definitely explain that more in a lot more detail. But we're very proud of, and of helping people build wealth and then protecting that wealth. It really does make us feel good to see wealth staying within our generations, and to help future generations build wealth too, because not only are we talking to people that are working professionals, we want to talk to kids who are on the college and high school level as well. So when they get out of school, they know all the things that they need to do, period.
Absolutely.
Buy a home, invest in a home, get life insurance, have an estate plan, those type of things. Because we have
Right.
access to all kinds of attorneys. With me being an attorney, I have lots of access to different attorneys in the estate planning field. Our goal is to make sure when you pass away that you pass away either with a trust and a will, and that you're able to take any assets that you've acquired during your life and pass it on to your family.
That's powerful. I love it. I love it. And offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. So y'all doing both
That's
in the
correct.
Wilson family.
Exactly.
I love it, man. I'll tell you what, I appreciate it, Miss Karla Wilson. I really do. It's been an excellent interview. And I just want to say thank you for, all that you're doing in our community, and you and Mr. Wilson. And it's been nothing but love since I met both of you guys. And I truly appreciate, the opportunity. I truly appreciate you taking the time to come and spend with us and share a wealth of information. I'm pretty sure the audience and the listeners will get a lot out of this interview. So I definitely appreciate you.
My
And I
pleasure.
look forward to
Appreciate you
doing it
too.
again. And I look forward to interviewing Mr. Wilson. So on the way out, do you have any last words you want to share with the people?
I do. The thing about it is, if you guys are interested in building wealth with real estate, please make sure that you contact me. I would love to talk to you and chat with you about your journey, and what your best options are. And again, I do pretty much everything real estate. So I can point you in the right direction if you need help. If you want to become a real estate agent, contact me, Karla, the real estate lady. If you want to build wealth with real estate in terms of buying, investing, or just buying your first home or your 20th home, or a vacation home, call me, Karla, the real estate lady. I'm going to give you my number. It's 913-302-7275. Feel free to reach out to me. I always answer my phone.
Excellent, excellent. I definitely appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. I want to say I definitely give my thanks again to you, Mrs. Karla Wilson. This has been a phenomenal interview. I look forward to sharing it with the people, and I look forward to the feedback that we get. And hopefully we can definitely make it happen again in the very near future. So I'll definitely be in touch. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. Y'all have a good one. We out. Peace.
Bye. Thank you.